Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Jose here, welcoming you to a little bookshelf tour. I've been meaning to do this as a 100 subscriber special type thing, but a word of warning. So, what I'm going to show you is not my complete collection. A lot of my books are still at my parents', a lot of my comics are still at my parents', so there's a bit of empty shelf space. It's not fully really well organized, but it's just just to show you what I've accumulated over the years, the kind of things I enjoy, and kind of maybe what to expect from me. I suppose that's a bit weird, but anyway, I'm gonna try my best and see how it goes. So this is. Thank you very much to everyone. If you are into this kind of thing, I hope you enjoy it. I'm gonna try to do my best. And, just a word of warning, you're not going to find any funky stuff here. There's going to be no weird figurines on the shelves, no Funkos, no crap memorabilia or like little gadgets. No, this is just books. This is my book collection. These are my books. Let's get going. Okay, so this is my top shelf, and a lot of you will find this thoroughly uninteresting. It is mostly a collection of National Geographic. There was a whole collection on mathematical topics, different issues, different books on different things, and as a maths teacher I found it interesting, so I subscribed to it, and I slowly am making my way through this. I started the collection about 4, maybe 5 years ago, and I've only got 2 books left to read, so I'm not doing too badly. And then there's also this book here, Alex's Adventures in Numberland, which is mathematical curiosities and things of the sort, which I find interesting. On my second shelf, there's a bit of a mishmash of stuff here. It's not very well organized, like I said before. So I've got some rock band biographies. I like my heavy rock and I like reading about that. So I've got the infamous Motley Crue biography. I've got one on Deep Purple. I've got one on Led Zeppelin, and I've got the Ghost Rider book by Neil Peart, drummer from the Canadian prog rocker Rush. It is not really a music book. It is about his journey of self-discovery, where he lost his wife and daughter in a very short period of time, and he just embarked on a massive road trip on a bike across the US into Mexico and stuff like that. It's a very introspective book. It's a little bit different. Then I've got a book on first marathons. They're very short stories on regular people and their first encounter with the 26.2 mile monster. So I was reading these to find inspiration when I signed up for my first marathon quite a few years ago. Then I've got some Discworld novels. It's not complete. The rest of the whole Discworld novels are my parents', and then I've got the Millennium Trilogy by Stieg Larsson in there. The next shelf below, I've got some more rock biographies. So I've got Slash, Nick Mason, drummer for Pink Floyd, Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Freddie Mercury, Lou Reed, Eric Clapton, Iggy Pop, the Bruce Springsteen one, quite a nice, well-written, introspective one. I used to not really rate Bruce Springsteen until I went to see him live in Belgium a few years ago, and then I was converted after seeing him live. I wouldn't call myself a fan. I do enjoy what he does. Then The Clash, Johnny Cash, Phil Lynott, left too soon, Meatloaf, Lemmy, the one and only Lemmy, and then I've got this collection of 10 James Bond novels by Ian Fleming. I got them when my last school in the UK was doing a clear out in the library, and I bought the whole pack for £2, and they are largely new. They were unread, and I picked them up. Then next, so fourth shelf down. I keep saying shelf. Fourth shelf down. What have I got here? A mishmash of stuff. So I've got some real true crime stuff which I really enjoy the story of the mafia. So I got Papillon, Mr. Nice, the Valaki Papers, Donnie Brasco, King of the Godfathers, Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi. That was the one that they based the movie Goodfellas on. Helter Skelter, the Manson family murders, an account of killing Pablo Escobar, and I have to say I read that before Narcos came about. Then a couple of Mario Puzo novels, The Godfather, and I believe the movie adaptation is better than the book, and another one called The Last Don. Then I've got a few John Grisham novels, not that I am a big fan, but they were very easy reads when I had to do long journeys from university back to my parents in Spain. So I had like a 2-hour drive to the airport, the wait at the airport, then the flight, and they were easy novels to pick up on the way. That kept me entertained. A 3-volume collection of Raymond Charlotte novels, The Big Sleep, From Where My Lovely and The High Window. And then there's a mishmash of stuff. So I was very introverted, and I decided to work on my interpersonal skills. I'm not great at it, but of course some stuff here on emotional intelligence, the definitive book on body language, how to talk to anyone, and introducing NLP and these. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I don't know why that's still there. But anyway, then the back shelf has got a lot of books on the history of the biggest financial catastrophes. I used to have a life before becoming a teacher. I used to work in finance in London, and there are some great books on the greatest scandals in the financial world. So, Den of Thieves was a Pulitzer Prize winner, but all the corruption and insider trading scandals of the 80s, When Genius Failed, Rob Trader, Too Big to Fail, The Big Short, The Fall of Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room, Barbarians at the Gate, that was the takeover of Nabisco by the tobacco company, J.R. Reynolds, Origins of the Crash by Roy Lowenstein, and then a couple of real life. I really like this author, Ben Mesrick. He does a really good job of researching really interesting real life stories and bringing them to the written medium. And obviously The Accidental Billionaires is probably the most famous one, because that's the one that got turned into the movie. It's about the founding of Facebook, the social network movie. They did Bringing Down the House and Breaking Vegas, which one of them got turned into the 21 movie with Kevin Spacey. Then I've got some more sort of on financial and social science and general science topics. So Malcolm Gladwell, Tipping Point, and Blink, Matthew Said, Bounce. Then a couple of economic stuff like Freakonomics and The Undercover Economist, How to Write a Novel, Trouble with Physics, The Code Book is a fantastic book, and then Moneyball by Michael Lewis. Michael Lewis, one of the best communicators in the present day and age of interesting topics. And then finally, I've got my football, and we call it football in Europe. I mean, you Yanks probably call it soccer, but there you go. So Soccernomics, Soccermatics, The Numbers Game are all books about how mathematics can be applied to football. So obviously enjoy that. Then I've got one called Inverting the Pyramid, which is about the history of and the evolution of football tactics. So how in the beginnings of football there used to be no defenders, everyone played up front, and in the current day and age the number of strikers is greatly reduced. So it tracks the evolution of the game. And then there's a book, A History of Latin American Football, and then a book on Spain, the inside story. Spain being the only nation in the history of football that have won 3 major tournaments back to back. So European champions in 2008, world champions in 2010, and again European champions in 2012 before crashing down disastrously at the next major tournament. But little nation in the south of Europe, only country to have ever achieved that and creating their own style of football along the way. Major accomplishment, really significant part of my life. Then in the next shelf, I said it correctly, below is all the classics. I've got a lot of classics, so the Russians and the Brits and stuff. So I've got War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, Anna Karenina, a few Dostoevskys, Emily Bronte, James Joyce, Ulysses, and Dubliners, On the Road by Jack Kerouac, Faust by Goethe, Tin Drum by Günter Grass, Kurt Vonnegut, Master and Margarita by Bulgakov, a couple of Graham Greens, Salman Rushdie's Midnight's Children, really enjoyable that. The Vagrant Trilogy by Roddy Doyle, Irish author based on the sort of kind of working class neighbourhood of Dublin. Really enjoyable book. Classic Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, Norwegian Wood by Murakami, probably one of the best books I've ever read. Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro, Tropic of Cancer, Truman Capote, To Kill a Mockingbird must be there. Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, probably one of the most shocking endings to a novel I've ever read. Clockwork Orange. A few Hemingways, so Farewell to Arms, For Whom the Bell Tolls, and The Sun Also Rises. I never understood why people criticize Hemingway for his sparsity of language in his writing. Certainly For Whom the Bell Tolls, based around the Spanish Civil War, there's a whole description of what death smells like that lasts for 4 pages, and it's an amazing piece of writing. But then, once I read Fiesta and A Farewell to Arms, I understood where the criticism came from, but it is a writing style. Then I've got more stuff at the back. I've got Elmer Leonard. I bought Rum Punch because it was the is where the Tarantino movie got based. Jackie Brown. So I bought Rum Punch, and then at my local train station, I used to live in London, I found Killshot, The Switching Out of Sight abandoned there. So I picked them up and added them to my collection. Very enjoyable. Elmer Leonard. Trainspotting by Irving Welsh, and Porno, which is the continuation to Trainspotting by Irving Welsh. I remember one day reading that in the underground, and someone sort of not accusing me or telling me off, but sort of wondering how did I dare to read that in the underground in public. There's nothing terribly horrific about that book. I don't know that it was controversial. A lot of paperbacks here. F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby, Joseph Conrad, Heart of Darkness, my friend believer in his philosophy. I think the human heart is inherently dark and evil, and we find that. Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. Then Ayn Rand, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. Surprisingly enjoyable, and I half share her philosophy on individualism, I suppose. John Updike, Robert Rand, John le Carré, The Spy Who Came from the Coal, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a fantastic novel by Ken Casey, Early Wise Night, about the hunting of Jews in Nazi Germany, Joyce Carol Oates, The Falls. What else have I got? There's a lot of stuff here. A couple of Chuck Palahniuk's Cloud Atlas. Then a few kind of book club type thing bestsellers, the kind that appear on the top selling lists for a while, but they're not really that memorable, but interesting nonetheless. Or Life of Pi, or the Khaled Hosseini Afghanistan-based story, A Thousand Splendid Suns, The Kite Runner, and The Mountains Echoed. Girl on the Train, didn't think it was that great. Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist, as kind of the action sort of takes place in my home region of Spain. A Passage to India by E.M. Forster, The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and then a couple of other sort of general novels, Dickens, Oliver Twist in there. and that's kind of my classics section. Paperbacks mostly because, you know, just it's a matter of price and cost. And you know, you read them once, you may read them twice in your life. They keep well. I treat my books quite well, so they will last there. Top of the shelf, I've got, it's a strange comic, the way it comes presented in a box with lots of leaflets inside. It's called Building Stories by Chris Webb. And then we move on to the fantasy section. So my fantasy section, so left to right is the Long Earth series by Terry Pratchett. I did a review of that. First World Trilogy by Geographic, I did a review of that. Powder Mage Trilogy by Brian McClellan. That's actually signed by Brian McClellan. I did a review on that. The John Wayne Faithful and the Fallen series, great series. Earthsea Quartet by Ursula Le Guin. Did a review on that. Mistborn Era 1 by Brandon Sanderson. Did a review on that as well. And then at the top, a couple of hardbacks for no good reason actually. Dragons of a Lost Star is falling to the War of Souls trilogy. I didn't mean to buy a hardback. I was buying them paperbacks with second hand from Amazon, and it rocked up as a hardback for the price of a paperback, so what can you do? Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, not great. Burning Wicks, that's a signed first edition hardback because I wanted to finish the series. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows in hardbacks. The rest are paperbacks and my parents. And a collection of 7 novels by Jules Verne. This is an amazing edition with gold sort of sprayed with gold edges. Then Game of Thrones, everything up to date. Lightbringer, Night Angel trilogy, did a review on that, fantastic book. Dune, the classic by Frank Herbert, and Neuromancer by William Gibson. Don't really understood that or really remember much of that. These shelves are all double bagged because I've got too many books and they don't fit. So at the back I've got a few of the Dark Elves saga by Salvatore. So here is the Sellswords trilogy, and behind we've got more Dark Elf stuff. I'm not gonna go through every single title here. Then what else have I got there? Oh god, yeah, the I don't know what to call that, the Vagrant Trilogy, not particularly great. Chronicles of Narnia, did a review on that. And then Philip Pullman, his Dark Materials trilogy, a couple of Neil Gaimans, and what else? And the Black Magician trilogy, fantastic series. Moving on to the second shelf on the fantasy series, fantasy section. Gentleman Bastard series, of the 3 published books so far: Lies of Locke Lamora, Red Seas and the Red Skies, and the Republic of Thieves. First 2 signed and dedicated by Scott Lynch, fantastic. Then we've got Realm of the Elderlings. I did a review of all of these. So Farseer trilogy, Lightship Traders, and the Tiny Man trilogy. Then very nice pocket-sized hardback edition of Lord of the Rings that my wife got me for my birthday a few years ago. Quite cute. Behind, collection of ghost stories, couple of, quite another few Stephen King novels. Again, a bit like John Grisham, not that I am a great fan, but they were nice books to read while taking long journeys in the bus, the train, the plane, and they tend to be cheap. You get to the airport, they tend to be buy 2, get the second one half price, things like that, so that's why I kind of collected them over the years. Then there is the Dragonland stuff, so Chronicles, Legends, Second Generation, Dragons of Son of Fame, the Riesling novels. These omnibus editions of Chronicles and Legends, I found them at the train station, abandoned there. I've done reviews of those. And then, so that's the Black Magician trilogy. So the one behind was the Traitor Queen, the Traitor Spy trilogy. Anyway, and the next shelf below, again, a bit of a mishmash. So I've got the Team Powers section here, and I've got a few more books from Team Powers on my parents, but here I've got Anubis Gates, which is due a reread, Honey Among the Graves, Expiration Date, and Orange Stranger Tides, which is where Pirates of the Caribbean was based on. Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. First three, Dresden File novels, trying to give away Beast Behaving Badly by Shirley Robson. Axeman's Jazz by Ray Celestin is just a kind of historical crime series. Then behind there is the Captain Alatriste series by Arturo Pérez Reverte, waiting for the last two books. Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, first three books, gave up on that, terrible stuff. And then we've got the Lovecraft section here, so the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft, plus a few kind of anthologies based around the Cthulhu mythos, so Shadows over Innsmouth, New Cthulhu, Madness of Cthulhu, and then a few more classic horror compilations, so Robert T. Howard, W.H. Hodgson, The Casebook of Karnaki, really recommendable. In a Glass Darkly by Sheridan Le Fanu, collected ghost stories of A.M.R. James, and The King in Yellow by Robert W. Chambers, which, if you watch True Detective Season 1, fantastic, there's a lot of references to it there. And then Ambrose Bierce's Terror by Night, classic ghosts and horror stories. Then here are Spanish editions of Arthur Marchand's The Three Impostors, Horace Walpole's The Castle of Otranto, considered the first ever Gothic novel, and then Algernon Blackwood, Secret Cult, and Other Tales. Moving on to the next shelf, what have we got? This is a bit of a mishmash of books from my wife and myself. These are like history books, biographies and stuff, so nothing really, this is a little bit of a mess. So I've got some books on the history of the London Underground, the Spanish Civil War, the Templars, the Tony Blair Diaries, some self-help stuff that my wife reads, my books on polar exploration by Roland Handford. And then moving on to the next shelf below, which kind of matches with my literary classics. I've got some other stuff here: Bret Easton Ellis' American Psycho, Blood Meridian, Cormac McCarthy, Ray Bradbury, Norman Mailer, The Naked and Dead, William Burroughs, Naked Lunch, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, a fantastic book, Ian Banks, The Wasp Factory, very recommendable, Time Traveler's Wife, Berson by Sebastian Faulks, The Color Purple by Alice Walker, Piece of Cake, a real story of some sort of ghetto Compton girl come to become a lawyer, suspicious about whether the story is true or not. Again, it's a double-ended shelf, and behind we find an anthology of short stories by Raymond Carver. John Irving really enjoyed A Prayer for Owen Minnie, and also The World According to God. Confederacy of Dances by John Kennedy Toole were a great book. The Outsider by Albert Camus, Watership Down, A Pen in the River, Margaret Atwood, The Handmaid's Tale, then a couple of classics by Colombian Nobel Prize winner Gabriel García Márquez, 100 Years of Solitude and Love in the Time of Cholera, Spanish editions of course. Then another Nobel Prize winner, Mario Vargas Llosa, The Dream of the Celt. I had the pleasure of meeting Mario Vargas Llosa pre-Nobel Prize, had a glass of wine with him and a chat, met him at university. Then what else is at the back? The Book Thief, Nietzsche, Das Spoke, Zarathustra, and Q&A, which is the book where Slumdog Millionaire was based on Louis de Bernier, Captain Corelli's Mandolin. We need to talk about Kevin and Tariq Ali, two books on his Islamic Quintet series, A Sultan in Palermo, and Shadow of the Pomegranate Tree, which is based on my hometown in Spain. Here at the bottom we've got some oversized stuff, but mostly it's history books of Spain by the Oxford School of Hispanics. So I've got a Raymond Carr Story for Spain from 1808 to 1975, a book on the Spanish Empire, the Republic and the Spanish Civil War, biography of Franco by Paul Preston, and a brief history of Spain. Right, so that is my bookshelf tour. It's not complete because I haven't even gone into the comics and comic book section, but the video was running quite long and I don't want it to be a 40-minute, hour long video. There's a lot of editing for me to do here. So this is, I suppose, part one of my bookshelf tour. Let me know what you thought. Let me know Did you like anything? Please let me know. How should I arrange my collection of my books? Because there's a lot more coming. Hopefully when I can travel at some point and collect all the boxes that I've got at my parents' place. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, as always. Thank you very much for liking, subscribing, commenting. This booktube adventure, it's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. I really, I enjoy doing it. I don't mind if I got 100 subscribers, 1,000 or 10. This is just about me sharing what I do with like-minded people and getting to know people that share the same interests and passion about reading that I have. So always, please take loads of care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.